How's everybody doing? Well, it's a new week, new opportunity. Excited to be back at home this Saturday in front of our fans in Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Looking forward to family weekend and looking forward to the opportunity versus Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb is a very talented, older football team that has had a lot of success. This group won their conference championship last year. They have played very, very well in ball games like this, including the opener this year against Appalachian State. Expect it to be a tremendous challenge. Our players have really responded well the last couple of days. They're determined to continue to push each other to work to improve. None of us are happy with the results of the first three games. That being said, they have worked each week to prepare to go into that ball game with an opportunity to win. Disappointed that we did not get things done in the second half this past week against a very good Appalachian State team in order to achieve that goal. Yet at the same time, I continue to be pleased with the determination of our coaching staff and our players to improve each day and to improve each week. So excited about this upcoming week and looking forward to the challenge on Saturday. Questions?
Coach, coming out of the last two games, obviously led in Marshall 13-10, 21-10 against App. What are some of the biggest learning points as a staff, as players y'all can learn from what happened in the second halves of those games?
Well, I think when you look back at them in a loss, certainly a lot of things get magnified, and I think allowing the touchdown right before the half this past weekend is magnified, because obviously going in 21-10 versus 21-16 is a big difference right there. And so you look at why, and you got to be better on kickoff. You can't have the penalty, which you gave them excellent field position to start that drive. We did have one breakdown defensively on that drive, and you got to eliminate that. And so you start looking at all those things. Well, all those things are what right now is keeping us from consistently playing at the level throughout a full 4 quarters to be able to get the win. And so you address each of them individually, but the big focus has got to be in what we're doing on the practice field Sunday, today, tomorrow, Thursday. And my big focus is our coaches. We've got to continue to teach and instruct and make sure that we're putting the players in the very best situations so that they can be successful. I know that the players are very motivated to be successful, and so we got to right now our big focus is on us, and we got to keep working together and keep putting in the effort and push ourselves to improve, and that's the big focus for today's practice. We got to make sure we have a great Tuesday practice, and that sets us up for success on Saturday.
Coach, you talked about a little bit about the penalties, and that's usually not part of a Mike Houston program. How do you do things at practice to combat that and try to get that? Our coaches kind of walking around saying, "Hey, that's a hold, you can't do that," and that kind of thing, and really emphasize things?
Well, I think we obviously emphasized it on Sunday, and we've emphasized it all last week too. I think the big thing for me is looking at what the penalties are. Some of them come from fundamentals and technique, and when you see a holding call, a lot of times it's because you're getting your body out of position. Now you got to understand that there's a point where you gotta let go. There's holding on every play. I mean, it's across the board on every play, but there's holding that gets called and holding that's part of the game. And just teaching players, the point, that line right there. And then there is some discipline penalties, and we had fewer of those. Okay, we only had a couple of those this past weekend, but still, you got to eliminate those. There's no point. I always tell the players, the pre-snap and the post-whistle penalties. Those are the ones you can't have. The false starts, offsides, and anything after the play is over. You can't have those. And so that's something that you got to. We've done a good job of eliminating those. We still had a couple last week, so you got to eliminate those. You had a couple on Saturday that's just out of pure effort and understanding when to do something, when to not. We had 3 intentional grounding penalties on Saturday, and certainly the intent was there to get us out of a bad situation, but there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. So yeah, it's addressing all of them individually, and you address them all throughout the week with everything you see on tape. And we got to cut down the self-inflicted errors. That's the big thing right now.
Coach, John Gilbert wrote a statement to the Pirate Club talking about the expectations, and even that the last 2 bowl seasons almost raised those expectations. He also just talked about fans and donors, I guess, have a right to be concerned. I guess I'm just curious your thoughts on that, and if you and your staff just kind of share those same sentiments as well.
Well, I mean, none of us are pleased with the start of the season. I mentioned that in my opening statement. And certainly John and I are on the same page with what we expect. And I don't think the expectations are the same across the board. I understand frustrations the way we started the season. At the same time, I also understand what the players are doing, what the coaches are doing to try to make sure that we give the Pirates a chance to win each week. So I would say that I am as committed as I can be. The players and coaches are as committed as they can be, and we're going to work our tails off to get things going in the right direction. And we got a great challenge this coming weekend, and at the same time, every week is going to present a great challenge. So the focus just has to remain in the moment. Being 1-0 in the moment.
Coach, entering week 4 now of the season, guys are a little banged up and bruised. Just an overall general health update, and then any status on how Zach just recovered.
Well, I think every team in the country is probably banged up and bruised, and I think we've played 3 very physical football games against very physical teams, and we're a very physical team. So you got some bumps and bruises. That's part of it. The guys are doing a good job with taking care of their bodies and trying to recover each week, and I think our athletic training staff's doing an outstanding job with recovery with some of our long-term guys. You asked specifically about Tyler. Tyler's probably still a few weeks away, and I hate that he's in this situation, but that's just one of many guys that are dealing with some stuff.
I've noticed Brock Spalding's been playing a lot on the outside. What is your evaluation of his play so far? And also, do you think he's versatile enough to where we might see him at the slot as well?
Well, actually, he's been playing at the slot and also playing on the outside. So he's been playing both. We got a couple of guys doing that. So obviously, we do think he's versatile enough or we would not play him at both. Brock's a young guy who I think he has a lot to him. The best thing I can say about Brock is just that I trust him. And, he's going to make some mistakes every once in a while, but he's not going to make many because he's a pretty smart player. And, I think, the more opportunities he has, I think the more things he's going to do to help our team.
Coach, you spoke last week about getting the running back started, and we saw a little bit of that on Saturday. What needs to happen to get more towards where you guys want to be?
Well, I think you can look at everything, all 3 phases, and it's a cumulative effect. And what I mean by that is, you can't look at one position and just say, well, that's the issue, or you can't look at another and say that's the issue. It's a culmination of 11 playing together, and we talked about that last week. But I thought we did some things better on Saturday that allowed us to create some positive plays in the run game. But it's going to take everybody continuing to improve to get to the point that we want to be at. But that being said, you can say the same thing about special teams, or you can say the same thing about us defensively. It's going to have to be a cumulative effect of everybody working together in order to get the desired results.
Now that you had time to look at the tape, quarterback position, did Alex do enough to hold on to the job at the start of this week? And the turnovers were there as well. Just your evaluation of him in the quarterback position going in Gardner-Webb.
Well, I think the whole deal with that position is it does have a huge spotlight on it. And but again, I go back to just like what we talked about right then. We've got to do a great job as an offense, functioning and playing together. Obviously, Alex did a lot of really good things on Saturday. He also had some mistakes. The one thing I know about Alex is he's going to learn from his mistakes. He is going to be better the next time he's in the exact same situations. And he came in, watched the film on Sunday, and he's beating his head over a couple of things that went on the field. Some of it is, on him decision-making wise. Some of it is a result of, something else in the unit. That being said, I am excited about both Alex and Mason. I would expect that they're both going to play big parts in our program and our team down the stretch this year. But both of them will be prepared to go on Saturday, and I would expect both of them to be better the next time you see them on the field.
Are y'all, with the quarterbacks, are y'all at a point where truly practice plays a big role in who starts Saturday versus, who's come off the bench, or is it, I guess it's kind of a week-to-week, day-to-day type of deal right now with that position?
Well, I don't know that I view it as week-to-week, day-to-day as much as I view it as a culmination of the full body of work. And I say that, a lot of preseason's over with, spring's over with, but certainly those gave you parameters to evaluate both quarterbacks by. I think that is evaluation of what they're doing in the games on Saturday. I think it is evaluation of how they're doing during the week, and there's a lot of variables that go into that. The one thing I will tell you is, we're going to do no matter what the position, we're going to do whatever puts the Pirates in the best position to be successful on game day. And, we've got to do a great job as coaches of putting not only the quarterbacks, but all of our players in positions to be successful. And there's a lot that goes into that too. But that's how I would answer that question.
Defensively, your top 4 tacklers are defensive backs right now. Does that say something about what's going on, or is that just kind of how the game's played out? Is that normal for your defensive backs to be your leading tackler?
I think our leading tackler is Mike Edwards, if I'm not mistaken. So, but he's an inside linebacker, which that's pretty typical for your inside linebacker to be your leading tackler. Our defense has always been kind of safeties are going to be heavily involved in the run game and the pass game. So most of the time, your guys that don't have huge numbers of tackles are your defensive linemen, because most of the time they're eating up a lot of blocks. So I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I would say that's probably how it plays out.
For such a young player, Antoine Jackson, what has he done well, and what is he? Maybe is there something to learn from his play at just such a young age and such a inexperience at this level, and being able to play the way he has?
Well, I wished you could kind of show everyone. I mean, not just people on the outside, but players too. Antoine practiced really, really well the Marshall week, and it really was by far his best week of practice since he's got here. When you get here and you're 17 years old and you're a freshman and you've never been in a college football practice and you've never played a college snap, and your only experience is high school and you're away from home, and there's a litany of things you're having to learn how to handle. You're having to learn how to handle the heat, and he's from Miami, but they claim it's hotter here than it is down there. Now, the reason they're claiming that is because they're in pads out on the field in the middle of a practice. But you got to learn how to handle that. You got to learn how to handle college practice. You got to learn how to handle class schedules. You got to learn how to handle the dorm life. You got to learn how to handle time management. There's so many things that the freshmen have to learn how to handle that a lot of times it keeps them from just functioning. But again, the Marshall week, he had a great week of practice. Now, he didn't play against Marshall. And, the thing that Coach Jules went back to him is, okay, you had a great week of practice, okay? Do it again. Let's be better this week. And he had an outstanding week of practice last week. And, going back, I don't know, it was probably a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I had a conversation with him. I said, okay, I said, there will be a time where you're going to be on that field playing for us this year. And when you get out there, you can't go out there like a 17-year-old freshman, But the reality is he's a 17-year-old freshman. So that's, you're talking on both sides of your mouth there. I thought he did really, really well when he got in there. I did not think the stage was too big for him. The pick six, it was a really good defensive call, but I've seen that call several times this year where we didn't make the play. And so I do think there's something to the fact that the moment wasn't too big for him and he made the play. I would say he's got a lot of confidence coming out of that. Now, how does he how does he practice this week? How does he respond to success? Because sometimes guys can't handle success when they're young. That's, you just don't know. You got to let them grow and mature, and the only thing that's going to tell the tape is going to be time. And but yeah, I did think he played very well last week.
Gardner-Webb, their offense is a challenge, kind of a different beast. So walk us through trying to simulate that in practice this week and how difficult that can be.
Well, it's going to be difficult. I think they play a great scheme. I think they have, a lot of returning experienced guys, and you watch them this year. I mean, they've been very, very good on that side of the football at times. And so, as far as simulating it, I don't think you can completely simulate it in practice. But you do have a little bit of experience from facing UCF, a few years back, and you got to be able to replicate that tempo. You got to be able to replicate, just all the stuff that they do, because they do a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of different formations, a lot of different trick plays, a lot of things you don't see, and so it's just going to require an extreme amount of very detailed preparation this week, and great focus throughout the week, and great focus on game day.
Anything else, Coach? Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks a lot.